No, no, I totally understand. I think it's hard for people to conceptualize that, and they just don't get to. They don't sit down and actually put
Write it all
those,
out.
yeah, those 6 things down and write that all out, and actually put those things on their website.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book The Cash Flow Quadrant by?
I haven't.
Yeah, you need to.
The cash flow quadrant.
By Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
Okay, and he's got a little story at the start of that about this little village that needed water. So they put out a contract. They put out tenders, and these two guys both won this tender to deliver water to the village. So one guy races out, gets 2 buckets, races down and starts carting water to the village. The other guy goes missing for a couple of months. And the other guy's been going, and they're complaining about the water was dirty, so then he had to put covers on the waters, and then
they didn't want to work on the weekend.
and then the unions came in and everyone else, and then they could only carry 1 bucket at a time, and they weren't allowed to work more than so many hours a day, and da-da-da-da. And the other guy came back a couple of months later, and he put in a pipeline.
Because he got investors and he invested
and he had a
his
marketing
time.
plan.
Yeah.
He put in a pipeline and switched the pump on and delivered clean, fresh water when he was there or he wasn't there. So the idea is that, well, the fact is there's 2 economies. There's the trading time for money side, the guy carrying the buckets, and if he stops carrying buckets, he stops making money. And because he didn't stop and really think about how he could make this work better, be more efficient, be more effective. And then there's the other guy, the other side is using systems, other people's time and their skills. And that's what we focus on, is helping businesses understand that side, leveraging other people's time, skills, automation, and that way. So it means starting a little bit slower, but going and writing it all down and doing a marketing plan and just work out the who, the what, the where, the when, the why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, and that's exactly it. I think that most business owners just don't have that time. They don't think that through. They don't take that time to step back and really analyze their business.
Which is kind of silly when you think about it. You can't get a loan from the bank without a business plan.
Mm.
So why don't you have one for the rest of your business?
Mm. There's another one when I was doing some in the startup community. There's an agile business plan, which is called a business model canvas, and it's just something. It just spells out kind of those 12, I think it's 10 or 12 areas that would, what's your key revenue sources, what's your cost structure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just maps it out very easily on a 1 page, and it gives you a good idea of where you should start and where you should go.
Yep.
And I think simple things like that, I think people get overwhelmed with kind of trying to put together a whole business plan. They're like, oh, I got to put together 50 pages of all these spreadsheets and all this kind of different information. It's just going to take too much time. And then in 6 months, I'm probably going to throw it out the window because it's not going to be applicable in 6 months' time, right? It might have a whole new thing going,
Yeah.
And so I think if people start to take on these kind of new age philosophy on business and starting to do these kind of agile business plans that are very simple and a little bit easier to put together, then it won't be so time consuming and overwhelming for these people to do.
Well, they need to understand who their customer is before they even start, and where their customer is, and what their customers' pain points are before they even start.
Yeah.
And it's just yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's why Nikki called that business Easy Online Biz Solutions, because we just want to make it nice and easy for people to understand, just and just note out those simple things.
I guess the other thing that comes to mind is that there's all these other people out there, and you don't know who's who and who to trust, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't know you know, who's a cowboy and who's legitimate and like knows what they're talking about and has been in the industry for a long time, such as yourself. And who can actually, and then there's a lot of noise of which platform to build on, like the difference between Spotify or Shopify and WooCommerce, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, how do I differentiate between, I went to a BNI meetup down in Burley, and the web designer was designing it all on Wix. And you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know if you should be doing that. You know, I don't know if you should be. It's just hard, I think, for the consumer to try to to nut out who is legitimate, what platform do I use. There's just so much data out there on the online community.
Of course, with Wix, you've got no control. So that's another one of our little
you don't own all that content that's already made for you that everyone can have on their website.
And the difference between that is with WordPress, you could download it, you can put it on your laptop, you can do whatever you want with that. It's open source, correct? And
yes.
People don't understand that a lot of the time.
And it's free as well. It's free.
Exactly. Perfectly.
I mean, you're paying for the hosting. But the thing is that, you know, always start with the end in mind. Always. Because if you spend hours and thousands of dollars to set up an online business, you know, and then suddenly you've got no control and they think that you've done something, you know. Well, and that's the same as with Amazon. It's the traders on Amazon, you know. You just, you know, well, they need experts like Underjungle, you know.
Yeah.
You know, to steer people in the right direction, because there's one lady at one of our meetups, I think I was telling you about it, Josh, that she went 3 months, her account was closed for, because she was trying to, you know, because they thought her product was copyrighted and everything else like that, and, you know.
And then if you're too successful, they copy you. And
that's right. Underjungle are experts at making brands stand out, you know. On platforms like that. So, so that's where we come from. Is we look at how we can help people understand leverage, control, and return on investment. Because a lot of people, when people are talking about investment, they only remember half of it, the money they put in, but they miss the what?
Time.
The time. You know, the amount of time, because when there's return on your time and your money, not just on the money that you put in.
Exactly.
You know, because people spend years and, you know, so...
Yeah, years getting the website perfect before they make it live, and you're like, no, you put it live and then you make it perfect.
Yeah.
So you primarily build websites for small businesses. Do you deal with anybody else, small businesses on the Gold Coast specifically, or?
We've got a lot of automotive clients from where we started from.
Yeah.
But we've got clients up and down the eastern seaboard. I don't think I've got anywhere else at the moment. As far as website clients go, and we host them and look after domain names and all that. That's what Finance Solutions does.
Yeah.
Easy Online Biz Solutions, you're international.
Yes, and I do online business consulting. So anyone who needs anything really to better their marketing or for affiliate marketing, you know, just all the little bits and pieces that make up running a business online. Just even a sounding board, really, sometimes. Yeah.
And you can steer them in the right, you know, if they're looking for a Facebook training program or whatever, well, she can steer them in the right direction. And
you'll show them how to do it on their own.
Well, if they want to do it on their own, or I can point them to a mentor that can give them more of their time than I can.
Gotcha. So you'll steer them in the right direction, get their, whether it's Facebook advertising, depending on the needs and wants of that particular organization.
Yes, or that person, depending on what they do.
They might have a certain platform that they should be exploiting, let's say LinkedIn if it's a B2B business, or
so we
Facebook,
usually
Instagram.
Go through who they're targeting and where they hang out, and I give them have a sheet of paper that has their ideal customer broken down, so they know exactly what what their target market wants, where they can find them, where their competitors, so they can see what the competitors are offering, so they can better that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really want to go fishing in a pond that doesn't, that you have to make them actually bite. But if they're already looking, then it's always better.
Yeah, it's surprising because when I hear that about people advertising, and they say, oh yeah, Facebook's, the way to go and marketing and everything else. And 90% of business owners, they don't understand that, and well, until you say something, is that people on Facebook are not there looking for your service. They don't know that they even need your service yet. So it has to be an awareness program. So it's the most important is the follow up and the constant remarketing to those people. At Google, they're there. They want a plumber, Helensvale now.
Mm-hmm.
So they go plumber Helensvale.
Yeah.
So that's where we also help people with local search. So they can be easily found on Google. Or if they want an AdWords campaign, we can set them up with an AdWords campaign or anything else like that. But a lot of times, people, they just want the leads, but they don't get...
They don't really understand.
They want to start with a marketing plan, but they need to think of their offer, and then the offer strategy, then the monetization strategy. Then when they know that, they know how much they can afford to spend on their marketing. Whereas a lot of people just go and get chasing the marketing, but they need to take those couple of steps back and look at their offer strategy. And if they offer them this, what can they offer them next? And offer them after that, and offer them after that.
So they come up with their marketing strategy, and they come up with what platforms are going to be best, particularly for these small businesses, depending what sector they're on, they're in. Then from there, it's just hard for, I think, people to then come up with a content strategy. Yeah. So they got their marketing strategy. Oh, I know I'm gonna target LinkedIn, or I'm going to target Facebook, and I'm going to most of my customers I'm going to get from Instagram.
Well, before they get there, they need to have their offer strategy, because at the end of whatever the article, like the Nikki writes, there's always a call to action. The same as on their website, there needs to be a call to action. So before they even get there, they need to know what their offer is and what the offer is that is going to lead to it, because it might be a free offer to lead to something else. Or a dollar offer, or it's just something. It might just be a free trial or something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So offer strategy, then a marketing strategy of what platforms they're going to start exploiting, right?
Well, they need to work out how they're going to monetize that offer, and then they can go into marketing. And in the marketing is the content marketing and what that consists of.
And how do you see that shaping out now? Because there's these interesting things kind of coming on there. So there's all these different platforms. There's like Twitch. There's streaming platforms, YouTube, all this stuff. Facebook Live. Messaging marketing. And so I think it's just overwhelming for these a lot of people to, how do you start creating content? How do you start getting Google to start recognizing that content? How do you get an audience from there?
Well, with SEO, it's a slow process, but it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So whatever, the same as with Nikki's content, whatever Nikki's content she's got, she repurposes it into a blog. So
yeah, or if I make a video I always tell anybody I know, all my clients, that you always should start with one online marketing channel before you kind of
try to do the whole gamut.
So you know you're doing the right thing. You're getting a few leads every day. Also, once you're confident with that, you can go to another one. but don't drop the ball on the other one.
Gotcha.
But don't do too many at once.
I think that's a great tip for small businesses.
But if you do a video for your YouTube, you can repurpose it so in your blog article, it can be just the words that you said in your video.
Exactly.
And there's your article.
Exactly.
And you can just plug out the video into
Facebook again.
Yeah.
Sorry to reference Gary Vee again, but Gary Vee did a good one of this. He has like this 86-page thing that says, do your long form content, whatever that be, a blog or whatever long form that you're good at. Let's say it's you're good at video, you're good at voice, whatever it is. And then you're just repurposing that. You're taking the chunks out of that and tailoring it to whatever platform that you want to push it out on. And all those different platforms are like different rooms in a, I guess in a house or something like that.
Yeah.
And for each room, you have to tailor it and make it sound. And within that room, it's going to have a different voice, and you're gonna be talking to different people. So you have to repurpose that long form content down to those particular rooms.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it all takes work. I mean, for marketing to happen, it either happens. It's paid for somehow. It's either paid for with your time or your money.
Mm-hmm.
So a business, whatever they're good at, well, they need to be able to understand marketing or understand. So they don't need to go deep in it if they've got someone they can specialises in whatever it is. As long as they've got a bit of an understanding to make sure they're not being strung along.
Yeah.
And that's where another thing that they get hung up on
They do.
is, okay, we're going to outsource it now. We've grown enough. We're starting to make money because we got some referrals from, let's say, BNI or however they've started to make money. And then now, okay, so do we hire somebody in-house or do we outsource this? And then there's a lot of risks in that for small businesses, even larger businesses. They're scared too. We're going to go with you, or how do I know that you're going to do a really good job with my e-commerce platform, or I don't really know what you've done before. And even when I start to look, it's hard to determine how much money you've brought into an organization from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's where it's important that every business owner has a pretty good understanding of marketing, because my example earlier about advertising on Google compared to advertising on Facebook, if you're a dentist, and someone's got a toothache, well, they're going to be going to Google, they're not going to go to Facebook. So,
That's a good point.
People need to understand where their audience is in the funnel, how cold they are compared to how hot they are.
Where the attention is.
Yeah, because people on Facebook, they don't know that they even know that they know that they might need probably you.
Yeah. Yeah. How do they, before they go look for me, they're not going to, they're just going to go on Google and they're going to try to find me that way. They're not necessarily going to go on the
So
Facebook.
run across it, that's interesting, let's have a look, and then there's the remarketing. You can pinpoint your customers better on Facebook, but the people have to be looking, and you need to follow them, and you need to remarket to them. So it's a different strategy.
Because Facebook is a social website.
Yeah, that's right.
So you just want to create a relationship with people, so that they see you as someone that they can get value from.
Well, as Gary says, what is it? Jab, 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 and then the right hook.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of marketers out there, a lot of them are trying to sell.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not one point of contact. It's like 5 points of contact now before someone buys something from
I
me.
know. It's
Most
more
often.
than that. I'll go no.
Yeah, 5 to 7 or something like that.
7 to 11.
Yeah, something like that. There's a whole bunch of contact.
Yeah.
But
It depends on the network that you're on.
Yeah.
And how hot or cold they are. Because if they know that they want something, then of course they're going to buy quicker than someone who doesn't even know.
Yeah, because the paint's not there yet.
So aside from that, aside from the whole online social media marketing these days has totally changed.
Yeah.
You guys are involved in some other thing. What else are you guys involved in?
Carina Holdings.
Yeah.
Property developments.
Property development.
Yeah, but we do things different there as well compared to a conventional property developer. We've joint ventured with a very successful developer, and we leverage their systems, their support, their funding up to 25 million, and so we leverage their ways of doing feasibilities, looking up properties to sale, the negotiation. They step in and do the negotiations and things like that. So we by doing this, we can pay above the market for a vendor when they're selling their product, selling their property, and we can sell, or the ultimate buyer buys the property below the market. And we do that because we're not using bank, paying finance and all that other stuff and all those other holding costs, and because we're leveraging the other skills and their time and our joint ventures capital, he picks up his commission at the end of the deal in the profit that we make.
So that's all private. That joint venture is private equity money?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's private equity,
yes,
that's
right.
Somebody doing these property development deals.
Yeah. So Carina Holdings, we find, whether it be a strata title or a splitter, or a townhouse or a residential block, that's what we specialise in. So we just put the deal laid out. If the feasibility stacks up, we just pass it on and pick up the commission.
And what do you think about the current, because in Australia, the current state of real estate is it's an interesting one at the moment.
Yeah.
Tightening on lending, which what's your opinion on it?
Well, we only focus on the bottom end of the market. Whenever a market tanks, slows down, it's always the middle. It's always the middle of the market that hurts the most. It's all the people that have stretched themselves in their mortgage and have got that flash card to keep up with the Joneses and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They're the ones that hurt the most first, and then it's the top end, and and the last to ever hurt is the cheap housing, the affordable, like the townhouses, the ones that have some land content. So we focus on that end because when someone's moving from the middle sector and they have to move somewhere, where are they going to move to? They're not going to be moving up if things are tight. They're going to be moving down. Okay, and we're at the end of the baby boomers. The baby boomers, about how many million are going to retire in the next couple of years? It's the end of those, and they're all going to be downsizing, and that's the middle of the market. That's that middle band. That's going to be put that pressure out there, and we're probably seeing a bit at the start of that now. And so it goes in cycles. But the thing is that we can step from there to commercial, and then industrial, because there's always a lag there.
Yeah, because I've been following this closely, and I've thought that sooner or later, because Australia's grown for so long, there's got to be a downturn. In 2008, I don't think Australia got hit with the GFC like we did in the US.
Yeah.
And I think it was all propped up by the mining boom.
Yes. Yeah.
And so everybody went out to the mines, and that kind of supported everybody here. And Money was injected into the economy at that time, and so it just kept on growing.
Yeah.
And so people here just never really had that realization that, hey, maybe I shouldn't spend so much. Maybe I shouldn't go out for coffees every day. Maybe I shouldn't eat out 3 times a day.
And so when people stop spending, then that's just a vicious circle. It just goes around and around and around. And so, so that's why we focus on affordable housing as our specialty at what we look at, because that's always going to be in more demand than anything else. Because if people need to move somewhere, they're going to move down. And if we can sell it to the market, so the ultimate buyers are buying below the market, it's always going to be in more demand. And with all these baby boomers that need to retire and they're downsizing, if they need to put money into an investment, what investment do you think an Aussie would put their money into first?
What investment do I think an Australian would put their money into first?
An Aussie would, yeah.
I would guess real estate.
Yeah.
I would guess real estate.
Yeah, because it's something physical. It's more that it has a higher take up than what the share market does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some. I've also seen a gap in the market here for not mobile homes, but they call them mobile homes in the U.S. 30% of the U.S.
Detachables, that's what you call that?
Yeah, pre-manufactured homes is what they call it. And 30% of the U.S. actually lives in pre-manufactured housing.
And Australia's going that way. In fact, our JV partner is our second largest privately owned a company in Australia that second largest trailer park. I mean, mobile.
Whatever you want to call it.
Mobile home owner.
Yeah.
It's
actually quite funny because
you own the property.
Because Australians see it as that, they almost laugh because it is kind of taboo in Australia.
But the thing is, after we go from affordable housing, that is my ultimate next step, is to find a good spot and set up one of those. Because not only do you pick up the money from everyone paying, look, there's bugger all maintenance to go on to look after a block of land.
Yeah.
And the houses are on there and they're renting the properties and paying rent every single week or month or whatever. But then you're also picking up money from the management rights, which you're going to sell, which, is probably only an extra $1 million for that.
Yeah.
But there's ongoing that, and so you've got control, you've got the land.
Exactly.
And as long as it's near infrastructure.
Yep.
And as long as you've looked at, the same basic things that we look at with Easy Online Biz Solutions. And the other reason why I've got Nikki here and Easy Online Biz Solutions from the marketing side is because with selling property or going into any property development deal, the most important thing is the exit strategy. The ultimate buyer, having ultimate buyers. So having a marketing team on your team is a pretty smart way
strong.
of doing
it.
Yeah,
of course.
So for my exit strategy to, is that's why I'm stepping out of the Nikki's doing all the day-to-day stuff as far as online marketing and stuff goes, and I'm focusing more on the property development side.
Gotcha.
For that reason.
Gotcha. Yeah, in the U.S. they've been doing, they've done for quite a while, is setting up those slabs and running power and water to those slabs, and then obviously the buyer can purchase that actual pre-manufactured house, put it on that slab, and then you still, and you rent that space and you still have control of that actual land. I think it's a really good business model for Australia because I think it's less than 5% of Australians live in pre-manufactured housing. So it's quite a low number, and I would think, just like you said, all those baby boomers that are going to retire, they're going to have to go somewhere. A lot of them can't afford to maybe buy a house or something of that sort. So a good alternative to that would be something like that. And then they would still have control of a lot of their money, in their retirement accounts, and they wouldn't have to. They could do whatever they wanted with that money.
And the other side of what Nikki does is the affiliate marketing, and with that online business, it's a done-for-you business system that we offer people so that they can learn marketing, as I was saying before, and have the license rights to those marketing training, whether it be $100 or $1,000 or whatever, own the license rights to resell it. But that platform gives them their landing pages, the follow-up emails, and they can, in the back end, they can organise to have voicemail, messaging, SMS messaging, or have a click agency to do the marketing for them while they're learning. So,
and it's pretty good too. It offers a lot of support, and you can get mentors, and so you're really not floundering around.
Yeah. And because I was looking at the end in mind, me thinking, I'm one of these baby boomers, and a while back I was thinking, what we need something easy that people can actually make money online themselves. That's a bit of a no-brainer. That's a done-for-you system, and they make 100% commissions. And it costs them $99 a quarter to maintain all that stuff.
Very interesting. And so, where can they find? Where can people find that information? Is that a website?
Oh well, if they go to easyonlinebizsolutions.com.
Yeah. And are you on Instagram or Facebook?
They can go to Facebook. fb.m/easyonlinebizsolutions.
Nice.
Or messenger m.me/easyonlinebizsolutions.
So mainly marketing, online, different. I'm just trying to recap, I guess, what we went through, but online marketing. Tailored to kind of specific rooms, specific content, coming up with a marketing plan, coming up with a strategy for these businesses. You guys can help with that.
Yeah.
And then
you can scale up an existing business so that they're better online. Some businesses are just don't really know how they're supposed to do that, and
then got their website and they don't.
Then of course I help people develop one from scratch too.
Great. And then also property development on the other side, new, innovative, looking at what can happen over the next few years and what's kind of happening with baby boomers, consolidating them into maybe smaller areas.
Well, the thing is that at the moment we're supplying affordable housing below the market. So whatever the market price is, it's below the market, so it's an easy sale. And the reason we can do that is because we don't have all those other expenses that like a traditional developer goes and buys the block of land and does all that without starting with the end in mind, before you build an apartment block, you sell off the plan, right? Because you need so many sales to be able to put it in the ground. But a developer building a residential block, a lot of times they don't have all those blocks sold.
Mm.
Or, because you're going to need 70% of those sold if you're going to go to a bank.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be paying how many hundreds of thousands in interest just to get that project off the ground.
Mm.
That's just in the, interest repayments.
Mm.
But we can save them, the project cost in all that interest charges, and we pass that on to the ultimate buyer, and then we can move them faster and get them out the door.
I gotcha. Very interesting.
So the thing is that we can step in, and especially if we option it, if we put an option for the buyer, the vendor, we option it, so we're using that bit of time to do the feasibility study and everything else like that. Then we're not paying up front to see whether it's really feasible.
Gotcha.
And so but we mainly focus on the bottom end, so stratering. So stratering of whether it be units, townhouses, villas, apartments, or whatever, or splitters. So if it's because the typical Australian quarter acre block with the old house on it, we can split the old house off, on a 400 square metre block and subdivide the rest.
And so you guys have a meetup coming up, some type of.
On Thursday night, we've been invited to the Gold Coast WordPress, the website meetup.
And you guys will be talking there?
We'll be guest speakers.
Yeah.
About the marketing?
We're going to go the deep side. We're going to go into all the, the whats, the wheres, the whens, and all the things they need to focus on.
So online strategies.
It's
what do we actually call it after that?
It's how to increase your online
presence.
It's strategies to increase online profits or something.
Okay, yeah,
something
that was it.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, we're going to focus on once again is starting with before the how. Go back and look at the why they're doing it, what they need to do, who their ideal client is, what that client needs,
and where to find them,
and what's their pain point, and then.
And I guess just to go back to the why. Do you know Simon Sinek?
Simon.
He wrote a book. It's called Start with Why. Have you seen that?
Yes. Yeah.
Or why? Yeah, starting with why or something like that. But I think a lot of organizations don't start with that, and they're just out there. They're just doing things and floundering around. Where his comparison is to things like Apple. Apple has a clear vision of what their why is. They want to be the best technology platform. It doesn't matter what they're actually creating. They want to do these things, and they have a clear vision of what their why is.
Because then they don't have to discount it either. Because the people that look at the how are the ones that get into discount wars and send each other broke. The ones that have got a why and can look at it and go deep and work out how they're going to do it and everything else like that, and they have the right people and they can leverage systems and skills and everything else like that.
And also, once they've got a customer, if they have a good relationship with the customer, they can have the same person for life.
Exactly.
Really, how many people keep upgrading their phone every year?
Well, you're always going to get an Apple phone. I'm always going to get an Apple computer.
Once you like something,
I'm just never going to go back.
Yeah.
Because they've earned my business.
Back in, I had a guy, and he's still a website client of ours, and he brought his Apple around, and I've found, and he actually came into my office back 15 odd years ago, or 18 odd years ago. Anyway. And then I had a couple of mates said, Dave, you should get a Mac. And I said, I've got to learn all this stuff. Oh, no, it's too hard. And now, if you look at home, we've got one PC, we've got 4 Macs, 4 iPads, 4 iPhones.
And I said...
And the only reason we've got the Windows machine is because there's a couple of things for business, for like MYOB to save updating with MYOB or something. It's just little things like that, just to do a couple of admin stuff. It's not because it's user friendly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so funny because 2009 I got my first iPhone.
Yeah.
A bit years before that I went, no, I'm never going to have one. And now I'm like...
You wouldn't go any other way, right?
Yeah, now I don't know why I didn't want one.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing with my mother. As she was at age 65, she always used a PC, obviously. And then at 65, I said, "You got to get well, first I think I convinced her on the phone. I got her on the phone,
Yeah.
and she's like, I love this thing. And then I got her on a laptop. And at 65, she switched over super easily. She had, you know, it was like a couple weeks where she was like,
Yeah.
and she's like, this thing is just great, and she loves it now, you know, and she'll never go back.
Yeah.
And but Simon Sinek, look at his stuff, really good content. He starts talking about, comparing Microsoft and Apple, and he went to the Microsoft meeting, and the whole time the execs were talking about Apple, so they were just concentrated on Apple and their competitors and things like this. But they're not talking about themselves. They went to the Apple meeting, and all they were talking about is innovation, and all this other, you know what I mean? They have no concept of anything. Their blinders are off to the rest of the world. They're just focused on what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So what's our company little slogan, Nick?
Which slogan is
Starts
that?
with improving.
Improving lifestyles and cash flows.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So when I first registered Cranda Holdings back in, you were born, I think. Yeah, just. I was just trying to think of something, and so we came up with improving lifestyles and cash flows. You know?
Yeah.
So, and the way that Cranda Holdings came about as the name, because we're trying to minimise tax. It was way back then, so Cranda Holdings, and so Nikki's mum's name is Karen.
Okay.
Kar. And her sister's name is Alex or Alexandra. She likes being called Lexi, so that's the A, Karen, and then N for Nikki, and then DA at the end for David.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So that's
It's the family business.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's where Cranda came from. So, but that's our slogan, is improving lifestyles and cash flows. So that works with
all the businesses underneath.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I understand. I'm very similar. I have a lot of different things in my hand. I'm trying to do a number of different things and trying to be entrepreneurial, I guess. So I understand where that call comes from.
Yeah, luckily Dad has a daughter that actually wanted to do some of this stuff.
Yeah. And is it just you, or are you the only?
Oh well, her little sister is a senior property manager.
Okay.
So I
That's
figured down the track, thinking about the end in mind. She doesn't realise it yet, but
Yeah.
she might become integral part of Cranda Holdings Property Development.
Nice.
Okay, because she might have to run the property management side of stuff.
Very interesting.
So,
Very interesting.
But it's early times yet. She's only, 26?
Yeah.
And are you guys both originally from the coast? Was this always home?
No, New South Wales.
New South Wales.
Yes, and
Near Port Macquarie.
Okay.
yes, and Nikki grew up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moved up here January 2009.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Just this week.
Interesting.
Would be? Is it
No, moved up here like the 1st of January or 2nd of January or something ridiculous.
And Gold Coast has grown exponentially since, not just since then, but for the last 30 or 40 years, it's been kind of going crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to keep on going.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a sixth largest city, and it's going to end up moulding into Brisbane. So there won't be.
Yeah, it's going to be this, I guess, extension of Brisbane here soon. It already is.
Yeah.
It really already is. Everybody's already commuting up there, and
That's right.
yeah, it's kind of,
And weekends is just
Yeah.
bad.
it's mayhem. Yeah.
So that's the great thing about working from home and leveraging the internet. Is,
But even if we don't want to work from home, at least we can leave earlier than some people leave for work or for school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Brisbane, I think just Queensland in general is just getting a little bit nuts. The Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, Gold Coast, it's all growing quite quickly. And I foresee it kind of just spilling over into northern New South Wales
Yes.
here soon and almost connecting up to Byron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just need to organise daylight savings for the south.
They really do need to do something about that, don't they?
Because it must be so hard for business owners and people down around the Tweed.
Yeah, trying to come back and forth, and you got this time change. Yeah,
the referendum has never come through. They keep applying for this to be voted on, but
anyway.
No, I've had, wherever I lived, I've lived in quite a few places. I lived in Arizona, I lived in Alaska, and Queensland, and every place doesn't have daylight savings time. They all stay the same hour. I never get it, but it is a beautiful place in the world here.
Yeah.
But Port down south, Port Macquarie,
yeah,
beautiful down there too.
Well, Port Macquarie is one of three, one of the top three places on the globe with the most ideal temperature.
Yeah, it's just the best average temperature all year round.
Yeah. So it has the least difference between the maximum summer temperature and the minimum winter temperature. So there's somewhere in Spain.
Yeah, in the Mediterranean.
And there's somewhere else, and then there's Port Macquarie.
So is it a Mediterranean climate? There's only a few. I lived in San Diego. They have it's called a Mediterranean climate, and there's only a few places in the world that have that type of climate, and it stays the most temperate throughout the year.
It's probably a bit drier.
It is
because of the humidity, but
because you're on the west coast rather than the east coast.
Mm.
So if you look at the east coast of Australia, how it's a lot greener than the west coast of Australia. The same with America, how it's a lot more. The weather comes from the east.
Yeah, I was amazed here. I thought like the Gold Coast, and then you kind of get into Byron. I was like, this is this beautiful stretch of beach, and then I didn't realize that it's just endless beautiful beaches from here to Sydney. Yeah, as soon as I started driving down. Yeah.
More and more sand.
More and more sand, more and more headlands, and just perfect right-hand point breaks. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah.
And if, I'll try to get you guys on again, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
okay.
Well, cool.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
All
mate.
right, thank you.
Appreciate that.